The Rosie and Bill Show wish to thank our primary sponsors. The Malin Agency, located in Springfield, PA, where they take pride in exceeding expectations every time.
The Roselli Agency. Brian and his team of insurance professionals have been serving the needs of Chester County for more than 2 decades.
Anthony DeCecco and our friends at Tennis Addiction are ready to serve all your tennis needs at their beautiful facility in Exton, PA. Welcome, everyone, to the Rosie and Bill Show. Our guest this week has made people think and made people laugh for decades. He's appeared on the big screen, the small screen, and if you're on social media, you've probably seen him on your phone screen. Please welcome to the Rosie and Bill Show the man affectionately known as God's comic, Brad Stine. Brad, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. It was a deep contemplation before I came on the show, and I did discuss it with my attorney. And this is, in fact, a court order. So normally I wouldn't have come on your show, but a judge has just released the document. So I have to be on. So I'll do my best, but it's under duress.
Wow. Well, Bill, that money you slipped the judge seems to have paid off. So that's good.
Would be the first time.
Brad, when did you realize that you were funny? As a kid, when did you start making people laugh?
I don't know that I ever can even think like that. I don't know that I knew I was funny, frankly. My dad always joked around. I had a grandfather that joked around. So it wasn't unusual to be kind of fun loving in my family. And it wasn't odd or something that I was told to tone down. And I do remember, matter of fact, the first time I remember getting a laugh. I was maybe first grade, I'm going to guess. And I got in trouble. And so at that time, because they made me the teacher made me come up and stand in front of the class. And she was in front of me. And this is in the 60s. So behind me was a plastic laminated board. It had like an ABCs and an apple and a banana and whatever. But she was a bit in front of me, and all the class, I could see them. Well, for most people, that's terrifying. To me, it's like, oh, I'm on stage. So I saw that apple, the pretend apple, and I looked at it and I grabbed it and I took a bite and started eating it. And the people, they're watching me because the teacher's right in front. And they're laughing. So I'm like, oh, well, get another apple. I'm going to start eating the apples. And they're all laughing. This teacher's like going, what is wrong with these people? What is going on? And she turns around and sees me eating this apple. She got angry and grabbed me and threw me in the closet and locked it. And so now you could do that in the 60s because who gave a crap about people in the 60s? So the kids I'm locked in the closet. And I thought to myself, what I need to do is I need to collapse and pretend like I've suffocated. So when she opens the door, she'll be horrified. So I mean, it's funny you just brought that story up, and I didn't really think about it, but I remember that particular incident as the first. No, that isn't the first time I remember getting a laugh. My mistake. There was a time before that. Kindergarten. They had a Friday was like show and tell, or no, it was some kind of I don't remember, Imagination Day or something. So they decided they're going to have a puppet show. So they said, who wants to be the puppet show? Well, I'm raising my hand. I can't wait to be the puppet show. They picked me and picked another guy. So you get behind the puppet thing, you put on your puppet, but they didn't give you a script. They just, okay, do your puppet thing. I'm 6 years old. So who knows what they're doing? The other kid is, soiling himself because he's just like, I don't know what the heck. So I just start going, okay, you want to play hide and seek? And he goes, sure. And I go, okay, I'll count. 5, 1, 9, 54, 13, 6. Kids are rolling because I don't know if you know this, but nothing is funnier to a kindergarten kid than the, oh, look, I don't know how to count routine. So they're laughing. They're rolling their heads off. So I leave thinking, look at me, huh? I just thought of this. The next week, they decided to have another puppet show. I remember thinking, well, they're going to pick me because clearly I'm the puppet master. I had the people in stitches. She didn't pick me. They picked two other people. I said, all right, well, I can't wait to see them try to follow my amazing routine. And I sit there and I watch this take place. Hey, you want to play hide and seek? Sure. 1, 9, 55, 73. Kids are rolling again. And I'm thinking, that's my bit.
Copyright infringement.
So I wrote my first comedy bit at like 5 or 6 and had it ripped off a week later. So welcome to show business. So I didn't even think about those until you just asked me that question. But I guess that's the point is I never thought of myself as funny. And I can't think that I tried to be funny. I think it was natural. And I think that that really is what makes a comedian, that just for whatever reason, they're given a gift to not only know what funny is, but want to present it. I loved being in front of a crowd since I was a little kid. Never bothered me. I embraced it. It inspired me. I know it's the biggest fear of most people is speaking in front of a crowd. I loved it. So to me, that just means it was a gift. That was something God gave me for whatever reason. He wanted me to be able to do that. And here I sit these many years later and thinking about returning to my eating the fake apple and I can't count routine because I'm getting old. Well, and I'm getting old. I can't remember anything anymore. So let's just go back to the old stuff, see if it still works.
Well, wait a minute. I have to go back. I want you to finish the story. What happened when the teacher opened the closet?
I wish I could say I had pulled off my thing, but I think I remember. I think I did. I think it was something I wanted to do, and I somehow didn't. But I just remember thinking I've got to destroy this teacher for doing this horrible. Yeah, I don't think I did it though. Now that I think about it, again, it was a long time ago. But I think all I was referencing, frankly, was, I think comedy is a gift. They have a term called a sense of humor. We've all used it. We all know what it means. You've got a sense of humor. But I think what we don't do is break it down. It says a sense of humor, a heightened sense of humor. We have 5 senses, but this is another sense that somebody sometimes has at a higher capacity to facilitate. So I think it's a gift. I mean, it's like somebody that can write songs. It's like somebody that can sing. There's some things you don't know why you got it. It's a gift. You didn't earn it. Somebody gave you this thing. You're a great athlete. You can do it. So I'm guessing I just had that whatever that is, that gene that just knew what funny was and knew how to do it and liked it. Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. You're the second comedian we've had on that was locked in a closet. I'm like, what is happening?
Well, we suffer a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, and we survive it. We have 2 choices: heroin or laughter, and we choose laughter. Or the other people are drunk and in a halfway house, but we're surviving. And I mean, I do think that laughter is a means of defense. It's a means of surviving and navigating hard things in life. And I'm grateful I have that outlet.
I understand as a teenager, you dabbled in magic. How did you come about learning how to be a magician?
Well, I don't know if you get Baptists that watch your program, but you just lost them. Just wanted to let you know they've all fled. And they might be looking for an exorcist as we speak. So when you say magic, obviously, we're talking about sleight of hand. We're talking about illusions, card tricks, things along that line. Started learning that as a teenager and loved it. Thought it was fun. Thought it was interesting. Got books and other props and just got more sophisticated, got better at actual sleight of hand, performed professionally. From maybe around 18, 19 years old in Southern California, in restaurants, hotels, doing close-up magic, walking up to tables and performing magic, which is what we now call street magic, like David Blaine, that kind of stuff. That's what I did. We called it close-up magic or table hopping because you were in a restaurant. And I did that professionally for many years, even created some tricks that ended up in magic publications. That I invented some things. So, and knew some of the top magicians in the world. Some who I'm still friends with. So it was my first professional performance artist time in my life, where I was paid to perform as a performance artist, doing magic. So that was a great opportunity, because it really is what got me into comedy, because I had a comedy. I did it funny, of course, because I'm a comedian, so everything was funny to me. And so the magic tricks I did in a funny way. And I thought, you know what, I'm not making a lot of money. I need to get a bigger show with bigger props, but I'll be funny. And that means I can go into comedy clubs, because comedy clubs are really big at that time. This is the 80s. I thought, well, heck, this is another revenue stream for me. I can go into a comedy club and be a comedy magician. So that's kind of what got me into to clubs, is I had something I could do. Until I learned how to do monological comedy and just speak, I had these props to kind of cheat until I figured out how to do the rest of it. I didn't even know I was going to be a comedian. Never had a plan to be a comedian. Was not in my, wanted to be an actor, wanted to be a magician, wanted to be a baseball player, wanted to be a secret agent, wanted to be a stunt man, but I never thought of being a comedian. And that's what I've spent most of my life doing.
That's amazing. You just never know where God is going to lead you. And since you brought that up, years ago, I just want to share with you, when I lived in New York, I took a stand-up comedy class with a man named Frank Santapadre. And it was interesting that he didn't just give us assignments to go home and write jokes. His thing was like, just kind of write what comes into your mind about maybe how you grew up or things that were important to you, whatever, just to help us find our voice. So I'm wondering, how did you find your voice as a comedian?
There was a guy that booked the Tonight Show for Johnny Carson for many years. And he would go and watch the comedians, bring on the comedians. And he always said it took 10 years to find your voice. Now, again, this is back in whatever, 70s, 80s, 90s. That gave me some optimism, because I'm 2 or 3 years in. I'm like, man, I'm still haven't figured it out. And it was hard, because I tried to contrive it. I started wearing these kind of crazy pants that I got in the gym. I would work out a lot back in the 80s in California. And they for a while, these big old balloon, almost like what's his name?
The MC Hammer,
like that, kind of big, big, thick, but colorful. And I wore this colorful vest I had made, jacket and thing. So I was trying to figure out this look like Steve Martin did when he wore all white. And I thought, we got to find a look. And I'm trying to kind of manufacture everything. And then I remember, because one of my favorite comedians are a troupe, Monty Python. And so what I loved about Monty Python was they were really smart, but then they'd get really silly. And I learned that, if I wear crazy, colorful get up and I do crazy, colorful things, well, okay, but why wouldn't you? If you wear a crazy wig and floppy shoes, I'm guessing you're a clown. So we're not shocked that you do clowny things. And I realized, well, heck, if you dress normal and then do something crazy, it's even funnier, because now it doesn't make sense. So I decided to start moving into that and just trying to write anything that came to my mind I thought was funny, and then try it on stage, because it's very difficult. It's a very difficult art, is stand-up comedy, because it's the only art that I know of, a performance art that I know of. And if you have another one, let me know, that you have to rehearse in front of the audience. See, if I put a band together in my garage and I film it and tape it, I can listen back and go, we nailed that. Everybody was in key. Everybody hit the right note. Doesn't mean everybody's going to like it, the song, but at least I did it, the craft, properly. I can stage a play, right? And block it right and get everything done and know my lines, and we can do it. Doesn't mean people are going to like it. Doesn't mean to be tweaked, but the material is already there. Comedy, I don't care what you think's funny. It's not funny till the audience laughs.
Mm.
And so, the biggest problem that new comedians have is they start working out this material in their head, or however they do it, get in front of a mirror, practice like they're about to do their stand-up set, doing their open mic, and they'll go, what's up, and they'll laugh here. Plus, and they get on stage and you go, so, and suddenly they're not getting their laughs. Well, no, they were supposed to laugh there. And then they start to panic.
Mm.
And then they're a wonderful treat for all the comedians that get to watch them eat it on stage. We love that. We laugh. We find that funny because we've all been there. So we get great joy out of watching other comedians, especially friends, bombing. But I think that for me, I was able to perform and make a living and get hired as a comedian. First a comedy magician, but then I kind of eventually got rid of the magic and just stuck with the comedy. But I think what changed for me, I had a lot of material because I just was writing all the time and always trying something new because I just got bored easy. For me, what worked was when I found a theme. When I realized I want to talk about something. What is it? I don't want to just talk about road signs. Oh, the deer crossing sign, who has those? You have deer jump out on the road. What kind of place is this? These were funny to the folks. But when I found a through line, in the Midwest, it's different than in LA because you guys have things I've never thought about. I mean, you're like living in the 18th century. You have deer jumping out on the road. Let's not put up a sign. Put up a wall. Get a stun gun. They invented a barbed wire. Use it. So suddenly I was given it this weight. This part of the country has this kind of a feel, and I've seen it. And this part of the country doesn't even understand it. But let's move over here. And you know what? You're strong people because you grew up on farms and you had to do A, B, and C. And these kids nowadays, they never had to do that. Why? They have cell phones. You can joke about cell phones, or you can talk about how these kids don't appreciate this incredible technology. Next thing you know, you have a voice because you're basically saying, here's how I see the world. Here's what bothers me. And usually it's something that annoys you. That's what a comic kind of finds is this bugs me. How come people do that? What is the thing with why do people? That's where they find the funny. And what makes comedians unique is that most people go through life accepting it on its own terms, whereas a comedian judges and evaluates everything. You walk up to a stranger, shake his hand, nice to meet you. I walk up to a stranger, strike his hand, and then I go, wonder why we hold hands when we meet a stranger. That's odd, because normally you don't touch somebody that's how we think. Everything has got to be analyzed and broken down. And so that is where we find our material, in finding the ludicrousness. And the greatest joy for a comic is not just getting a laugh. And of course you want that. And it's fun when people laugh at something you thought of. But it comes to a point where they're supposed to. I mean, you're a comedian. If they don't laugh, you're not going to work. So you get used to expecting them to laugh. But what the great joy is finding funny where nobody else found it before. There was a comedy magician once I was talking to, but it's just kind of an ending to this concept I've been talking to you guys. He does comedy magic. So everything is, he'll take cards and do something funny while he's doing a card trick. And he does something, this and that. And he does something with a rope and he cuts the rope and restores it. We've all seen this stuff, but he has a really funny routine. And people are like, comedians will get angry. Well, you're a prop comic, man. And you got it easy. You just do stuff with props. And he took his rope and he threw it on and said, here's a piece of rope. Make me laugh. And I thought to myself, that's it. Well framed. He's like saying, yeah, I have this thing I do, but I found funny in a piece of rope. Your turn. Show me your funny piece of rope trick. And so I think that's really was a great way to define what comics can do that most people can't.
Well, Brad, there's something else that you do, and I love that. I love everything that you just shared with us.
You should. It was genius. It was
Yes.
very deep and insightful. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked, frankly, that both of you aren't weeping, because that's what I was shooting for. You may have sorted yourself, but you should at least.
We're still trying to get over the shock of the court order that led to you showing up. So we still having trouble believing that you're even here.
Well, listen, I'm on my ankle bracelet goes off in 5 minutes. I'm just saying. I'm just.
Do you just have one or two? I have two. I don't know about you, but anyway. So one of the things I wanted to also touch on with regard to how you do it is you bring so much passion and energy, and I mean energy, like in capital letters, and you probably, if you had a Fitbit on, I'd be willing to bet that in some of your shows you may walk the equivalent of a marathon, because you're working the crowd, you're putting everything you have into it. In fact, I've even seen you do some cheerleading stunts that were very, very impressive.
Every guy here would stop watching sports today if he was only allowed to cheer like a cheerleader. Could you imagine that fiasco? He's on the 15, 10, 5, touchdown!
Where do you get all that energy from?
It was natural, because people always say that the biggest comment I get, listen, I get a lot of haters on the internet, obviously, who doesn't? But I'm a Christian and conservative and unapologetic about it. So that gives them reason to despise me. But I'd say the biggest insult I get all the time is, I'm on cocaine. And I don't know if it's because I was sweating or because of the energy. But I don't know. I didn't get up there and say, I think I'll be the energy guy. It's just the way I would do it. I have a sense of the dramatic. I have a sense of theater. It's just my nature. So I think I get up there and I just like moving, and I do like going back and forth, because I want to get all the audience to feel like they're in part of this. So I get to get you in and bring you in. I don't want you to think, because you're stage right, that you're not as important as stage left. I don't want you guys up there don't think I'm not looking at you. So they feel part of the show. And so that's stagecraft. But I mean, it's just natural. I get up there. Maybe it started because I was nervous, didn't know what I was doing, and I was trying to overcompensate by just I'll get so energetic, they got to deal with it. But it's just kind of, I like just delivering it with an aggressive attitude. It just works for me. It's who I am. I think I've probably slowed down and got a little bit less aggressive as I've gotten older, and as I've gotten more material under my belt, that maybe that has tapered a bit. I've definitely changed if you look at my material from when I started and where I am now, as far as some of the delivery I do. I had some angrier times, I think, when I was few albums back, that I've tried to temper and bring a little bit more sweetness to it. So you're always, hopefully, if you're an artist, you're always trying to get better and evaluate and think, how can I do this in a way that I think is more in line with what I want people to get from me. So it's like comedy. It just was my natural means of doing it. I don't even realize I'm doing it, frankly.
Well, and it's an evolution too. You're always constantly changing and growing. So it makes sense to me that, well, maybe you were the angry comic for a little while because that was what was coming through. And then now it's evolved, so it makes perfect sense to me.
Well, I have gills now. I don't know if I mentioned that, but evolution is odd. It is a thing. I can breathe underwater and do a show. So if we ever, so I can go perform for the Titanic, but you do evolve. And you can see it in a lot of guys. I mean, you can see even some really great comics look at their older stuff. Well, certainly, the best example would be like a George Carlin, because that guy was doing even, I think, late 50s when he started, but at least into the 60s, very different material than what he ended up becoming as time went by.
Well, Brad, unfortunately, we're out of time, but I just want to say that we really appreciate you coming on the show, you sharing your story, your courage, your comedy, and your conviction. And we thank you so much. And folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show, and we'll see you next week.
Guys don't understand clothing. That's why God made us naked. Didn't have to match anything. Women invented clothing, including men's clothing, and they've turned men's clothing into a gag gift. That's why guys can't put their underwear on in the morning without tripping. Guys know what I mean. What's the deal with that second hole in your underwear? You miss it every time. First hole, no problem. Second hole, big toe catches. I'm in a rodeo suddenly. I don't know what the heck's going on. Your wife's in the closet with the control box. Dance, you fool! Stop it! 8 seconds.